America is undergoing an impressive makeover in the second half of 2025. New York's changing skyline will add yet another controversial skyscraper. A couple of big airports will undergo massive revamps rivaling the standards set in the Middle East, and a $100 billion megaproject will reach a key milestone. In today's video, we will uncover 7 of America's biggest megaprojects completing in 2025. Starting with Number 7. 262 Fifth Avenue. We begin in New York with a skyscraper that has generated controversy from start to finish. Standing at 860 feet or 262 meters tall, 262 Fifth Avenue is not as tall as some of New York's iconic skyscrapers. However, its impact on the New York skyline will be just as massive. With a height-to-width ratio of 19:1, this skyscraper will follow the Steinway Tower to become the second thinnest skyscraper in New York. The tower is 10 years in the making, as construction firm 5 Points Development acquired the land for construction in 2016 for $102 million. At the time, they had the option to either build a slender, soaring tower or a bigger mid-rise. The firm decided to go tall and planned a super tall skyscraper crossing the 300-meter and the 1,000-foot threshold. However, those plans were later scaled back. Construction finally began in 2021, and the tower had topped out by the end of 2024, making it the tallest building on Fifth Avenue. In all, completing this slim skyscraper will cost close to $1 billion. But why is this fascinating structure so controversial? The man behind this project is Boris Kuznets, a Russian-born entrepreneur who built Moscow's Golden Mile residential district. 5 Points Development is just a representative for Mr. Kuznets. Meanwhile, the structure is designed by the Moscow-based architecture firm Signum. This Russian connection has predictably opened up the building to intense scrutiny, but it doesn't end there. A lot of New Yorkers are also up in arms because of the building's location. That's because this slender tower obstructs the view of arguably the greatest icon of the New York skyline, the Empire State Building. Since the topping out of 262 Fifth Avenue, downtown New Yorkers can no longer enjoy unobstructed views of the Empire State Building from Madison Square or from Fifth Avenue. Others have accepted this change as a natural part of the ever-evolving New York skyline. Through all the controversies, 262 Fifth Avenue is on track to complete construction in the second half of 2025. New York will soon complete another much taller and less controversial skyscraper. More on that later. First, let's talk about another billion-dollar skyscraper, and for that, we go to Austin, Texas. Number 6. The Republic. Over the last few years, Austin, Texas has emerged as a desirable destination for big tech companies. A combination of state and local incentives has attracted giants like Tesla and Samsung to the city. These big tech moves have given way to major new developments across Austin, not least to the city's skyline. In 2025, the rapidly growing city will see the addition of multiple new skyscrapers, one of which is the Republic, a 710-foot tall building that will become the tallest exclusively office space in the city. The Republic has topped out already and will welcome tenants in the coming weeks as construction nears completion. The opening of the strictly office skyscraper is also just in time for the boom of Austin's office market, which is projected to grow by 25% over the next 5 years, the fastest growth rate on the continent. However, it will not be a typical fast-paced office building, as the designers have tried to keep contact with nature. The Republic is located right next to the Republic Square Park in downtown Austin. In fact, a public plaza will directly connect the two spaces, making it a desirable place to work. 50% of the building is already leased out as tenants prepare to move in by the end of the year. Despite the buzz around the Republic, it is just the start of the upcoming transformation of Austin's skyline, because just a few blocks away, a record-breaking skyscraper is also nearing completion. Number 5. Waterline. On April 25, 2025, Waterline became the tallest building in Texas, surpassing the 865 feet or 264 meters tall 6th and Guadalupe. However, rising from the heart of Austin's Park District, Waterline is about to break a few more records. Set to be topped out in August 2025, it will reach a final height of 1,020 feet, making it the tallest skyscraper in the state of Texas. It will also be the third super tall skyscraper in the state. The Waterline will take the place of Chase Tower in Houston, which has been the tallest building in Texas for more than 4 decades. The designers behind this project are Kohn Pedersen Fox, an architecture firm known for building incredible skyscrapers, like the Ping An Financial Center in Shenzhen that soars close to 2,000 feet in the sky. In New York, the firm has developed more recognizable skyscrapers, including the 55 Hudson Yards and 1 Vanderbilt. KPH brought their expertise to Texas in 2022, and in less than 3 years, Waterline is on the verge of towering above the Austin skyline. Speaking of towering above a city, we move on to Pittsburgh, where a $1.6 billion airport modernization plan is about to take off. Number 4. Pittsburgh International Airport Project. Any U.S. citizen that has traveled overseas will recognize the immediate need to upgrade many of the country's airports. While several of these projects are now underway, some are achieving major construction milestones in 2025. One of these is the modernization plan for the Pittsburgh International, an airport that was once dubbed the Airport of the Future. During the 90s, the airport was considered a small hub connecting international airlines. Following a $1 billion rebuild, the airport could serve 30 million passengers a year. However, Pittsburgh stopped being a hub by the mid-2000s, and the number of passengers traveling reduced to less than 10 million a year. This was a problem. The airport was oversized, and the operations had to be scaled back. However, this created an inconvenience for the travelers who often had to walk long distances and go through 3 floors to get to their next destination. So a $1.6 billion plan to optimize the airport was devised in 2021. It was announced that the separate terminal operations will now be merged into one location. The aim was to modernize the airport, improve the passenger experience, and streamline operations. According to the latest reports, that plan is now more than 90% complete and will be implemented by the end of 2025. With all the changes that have taken place, travelers are in for a pleasant experience. Instead of using a tram to go from one terminal to another, passengers will now walk over a bridge, through a short tunnel, and into a great hall. Security upgrades include a new 12-lane checkpoint that will let passengers keep liquids and laptops in their bags, making the whole process smoother. The airport has also got a revamped aesthetic inspired by Western Pennsylvania's rolling hills. 4 outdoor terraces with lush green lawns, 2 before and 2 after security, will create a welcoming aesthetic for the visitors. 2 of these terraces will be open to visitors when the airport opens later this year. If everything goes according to plan, the new terminal is expected to cut the time from car to plane in half. In addition to creating a much better experience for the travelers, the airport will also save $23 million every year in operating costs. And to make sure that everything runs smoothly, the Airport Authority will first put the new terminal to the test. For the first few months, 1,200 volunteers will come to the new terminal to try to break the system and try to make sure that the airport is ready to welcome passengers from around the world. The new terminal is expected to be fully operational later this year, with an opening gala scheduled for October 2025. Pittsburgh isn't the only airport changing for the better in 2025. In fact, there's a much bigger expansion reaching a critical milestone at the JFK Airport. But before talking about New York's biggest airport, let's go back to the city's evolving skyline and its latest super tall addition. Number 3. 270 Park Avenue. It took 4 years to build and cost upwards of $3 billion, but the new corporate headquarters for JPMorgan Chase will finally open in 2025. Soaring 1,388 feet or 423 meters in the sky, 270 Park Avenue is the 6th tallest building in New York. It is also the largest steel building in the country. But to build it, New York said goodbye to one of its prominent skyscrapers. Since 1960, this particular address had been home to the Union Carbide building. In 2019, the 700-foot-tall building made way, making it the tallest building ever to be voluntarily demolished. The new skyscraper is double the size and can hold 15,000 employees, up from 3,500 in the previous building. Building the massive skyscraper was far from straightforward, but with a unique design, it can certainly hold its own in the concrete jungle that is New York. The building stands on a structural system that allows it to be lifted off the ground, creating space for an 80-foot-tall lobby. It also allows for a substantial setback design on the street level, opening up the block. The setback design goes all the way to the top, creating 4 distinct separations, which make the building recognizable from anywhere in New York. At its base, the tower is supported by a truss system that allows the structure to touch the ground in limited places. The building's facade is also distinct from most new skyscrapers. Instead of the more commonly used reflective glass curtain walls, the designers have gone for large metal wraps on the facade. The slightly brown color of these metal sheets gives the building a tint separating it from the super tall buildings in its surroundings. 270 Park Avenue shares its foundation with several railroad tracks, which means the building experiences a lot more vibrations than its counterparts. This was also a problem during the original building's construction, and vibration-dampening mats were used in the foundations to counter it. The new building utilizes the same principle in a more efficient way. This is also New York's tallest building powered exclusively by electricity supplied through a hydroelectric power station in upstate New York. With most of the exterior cladding and superstructural work done, 270 Park Avenue will be ready in September 2025. Number 2. JFK Airport Expansion. New York has the second busiest airport system in the world, only behind London. Its biggest airport, the JFK, handles more than 63 million passengers every year. With this kind of passenger movement, the need to modernize JFK has always been one of the city's biggest challenges. With that in mind, the Port Authority announced a $19 billion JFK Vision Plan in 2017. The vision was to completely redevelop, modify, and expand existing facilities and infrastructure at New York's busiest airport. Breaking ground in 2021, the grand design included the construction of new terminals, expansion of the existing ones, and infrastructure upgrades throughout the airport. At the heart of this megaproject is the construction of the new Terminal 1 to replace the old Terminals 1, 2, and 3. This will be done in 2 phases. Terminal 1 will become operational in 2026, but will not be completed before the end of the decade. A similar timeline will play out for the renovations of Terminal 6, with the earliest changes to be observed in 2026. However, significant upgrades to the Terminals 4 and 5 will be completed by the end of 2025. According to the Port Authority, the $1.5 billion expansion of Terminal 4 is substantially complete. 10 new parking positions, a new baggage carousel, and updated check-in halls have significantly increased airport capacity. The revamp also includes new gate finishes, more digital signage, and significant restroom modernizations. The expansion efforts have increased Terminal 4's capacity by 25% as it processed more than 27 million passengers in 2024 and expects more than 30 million passengers this year. Meanwhile, Terminal 5 is undergoing a $100 million transformation of its own. This includes an upgraded center concourse, more than 40 new business areas, and green spaces. New amenities have already started appearing around Terminal 5, and the overall project is expected to be completed by the end of the year. While construction will continue till 2030, JFK is already shaping up to be one of the most desirable airport destinations in the world. America's 2025 transit makeover goes beyond air travel, with the biggest megaproject in Seattle's history completing yet another phase of construction. Number 1. Seattle Link Light Rail. The idea for a rapid rail transit system for the Seattle metropolitan area was first explored in the late 60s. After voters rejected the idea of a heavy rail in the 70s, a study to instead build a light rail was first conducted in 1981. While the idea seemed practical, no further funding was allocated until the local government formally established a dedicated transit authority in 1993 called Sound Transit. Since 1996, the authority has successfully got voters' approval for 3 major light rail development packages. The first of these was the $3.7 billion package to build 2 rail links, the 4-mile T-line in Tacoma and the Central Link running between Linwood, Seattle, and Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Now called the One Line, this link runs for a total of 33 miles and serves a peak of 80,000 passengers every day. On November 4, 2008, in the middle of the economic crisis, Seattle adopted the second phase of this grand transit plan called the ST2. After a lot of debate, a final 34-mile extension was agreed to primarily serve the east side region of Seattle. Construction on the East Link began in 2016. Several construction delays followed, and the first section, spanning 6.6 miles from Redmond to Bellevue, was opened to the public in April 2024. Moving into 2025, Sound Transit opened another 3.4-mile extension of the project, adding 2 new stations, taking the total number of stations to 10. Tracks will be laid for another 4-mile section across Lake Washington by the end of 2025. There's more to come for the East Link, but the Sound Transit megaproject will run for decades because in 2016, a third phase of the project was approved with an eye-watering construction cost of $54 billion. The ST3 will begin construction by the end of the decade and add another 16 miles of rail link to the network. By 2041, the 116-mile network will encompass all of Seattle, serving 600,000 passengers every day. But what do you think of Seattle's $100 billion gamble? Comment your thoughts below and keep following Signum for more updates on the world's biggest megaprojects.